Hi, all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted kitchen chats and also studio chats with some of the most interesting voices in the culinary South. I'm Stephanie Burt, a food and beverage writer based in Charleston, South Carolina, who travels with her fork to write for a variety of publications, from magazines you might have on your coffee table to the website you love to visit for your favorite recipes. And I'm inviting you to come behind the scenes with me to get to know the people who make this Southern culinary landscape so special. I'm always hungry for the next bite, thirsty for that next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. The Southern Fork is sponsored by Smithy Ironware. Smithy has been a supporter of this show for so long, you might not realize how much their line of cookware has grown in the past couple of years. In addition to a range of cast iron skillets, including my beloved number 12 skillet, Smithy now offers a small line of carbon steel cookware hand-forged by blacksmiths on the old Charleston Naval Base. And don't forget their cast iron Dutch ovens featuring a fully polished interior surface, which is a thing of beauty. As a cook, I can vouch that my smithy gets a lot of use. Just check my Instagram feed to confirm that. So if you have a cook in your life this holiday season, it couldn't be easier to get them the perfect gift for cooktop or campfire. Check out the full line of Smithy Ironware at smithy.com. That's Smithy with an E.com. And remember that something as well made as a smithy is an heirloom meant for everyday enjoyment. Use it well and use it for life. Now, with Thanksgiving around the corner, the work of this man has been one of the things I've been grateful for my whole life. The work of Jacques Pépin transcends a single title. He is at once chef, teacher, author, and television personality, but with 31 books and more than 70 years in the kitchen, his unique combo of warm personality and professional skills has impacted the world of food like few others. He's still working and cooking every day, has a new cookbook called Quick and Simple, and during the pandemic so far, he's produced almost daily videos that have provided grounding comfort to many of us seeking solace in the kitchen. There's a video book, too, that includes 45 recipe videos from other celebrity chefs as a membership gift to the Jacques Pépin Foundation. That organization supports free life skills and culinary training through community kitchens all across the country, training not only for jobs, but for those experiencing food insecurity, perhaps for the first time. In the South, there are community kitchens supported by the foundation in North Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, and Maryland, and the crises of 2020 means there's more need for this support than ever. Well, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but welcome to the Southern Fork.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay.
Well, you're sitting in Connecticut and I'm sitting in Charleston, South Carolina, and we've had some pretty horrible fun with technology this morning. So we're just going to get right to it. But I'm honored to have the chance to chat with you because I feel like I know you like so much of the America does because you taught me how to cook on PBS.
No, it's because I'm old and I've been around a long time. That's why.
how do you still want to get up and cook? I watch your videos on Instagram daily, and you still just bring so much joy to this. You've just come out with a new cookbook, quick and simple. I mean, it's been such a part of your life. How has it not gotten boring?
Well, I'm hungry all the time. So, when you have a good meal and you say, I'll never eat again, and like 3 hours later, you're hungry. So, yes, I mean, food, I've been a chef professionally for, 71 years now. So, I
Amazing.
left home in 1949. And actually, when I left home was a restaurant where my mother was the chef, So I don't really, I've been married 54 years. And we still look forward every night to sit down, share a bottle of wine, and have dinner. This is really part of our tradition, part of what we do, part of who we are. So, yes, I don't see myself not cooking, whether I go to the market or whether I go to the garden or to one thing or another. My life has always been involved with food in one way or the other. So.
In other words, it's really a rhythm of your life, and you seem to really enjoy cooking with other people in the kitchen. And really, before we get into the book and American food and really some new stuff, I want to ask you, how do you cook with someone else in the kitchen? A lot of us got shooed out of the kitchen, and it's hard to play in tandem with someone, but you're always cooking with your family and other chefs. How do you collaborate like that?
Well, the point is that cooking is great, but certainly eating together is even greater, and that brings conversation in. So the whole structure, you never cook for yourself. I mean, I don't see myself doing a big dinner, setting up the table and sitting and eating by myself. You always do it for someone else, for the one you love, for your family, for your lover, for your friend, your kid, your parents. So that's yes, this is the structure of the family. For me, it's very important in cooking. That being said, in a kitchen, the kitchen is a teamwork, but teamwork in a kitchen is to do everything the chef wants. That's what teamwork is.
So that works out well for you. Yes.
Right.
So I've watched the American Masters. American Masters on PBS is actually my favorite show because I'm nerdy that way. But I've watched your show, your episode documentary twice because it's really inspiring, and you've had so much success in so many different arenas. But specifically, I wanted to ask you about the Howard Johnson period, because that's a lot of, until that came out, I didn't know that you had been there for a decade, right?
Yeah, 10 years, yeah. 1960, 1970, yeah.
Did you know what it was going to teach you when you took that job? You seem to be able to make good decisions. And as a creative, lots of times we feel like we're in cul-de-sacs and stuff. And for a lot of us, taking a job after the success that you'd had in New York like that, it wouldn't have been a very clear move. Did you go to Howard Johnson's with a sense that you were going to learn something?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to learn. The point is that, people ask me that question often. I mean, early 1960, I was offered a job at the White House for Kennedy, then Howard Johnson. And it was not even a question of pay. I think they pay even less at Howard Johnson than at the White House. But what you have to realize is that 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago, the cook was really at the bottom of the social scale. So I had been the chef of a president in France, 3 of them, and I had never been once on a television show. Well, television barely existed, but on a radio show or a newspaper or an interview, that did not exist. No one ever would call you to go to the dining room to get kudos from the guest. That did not exist. Anyone who come to the kitchen if someone came to the kitchen, was to complain that something went wrong. So there was basically no recognition. The cook was very low on the social scale, and any good mother would have wanted her kid to marry a doctor, a lawyer, certainly not a cook. And so when I was asked to go to the White House, I have to say frankly that I didn't realize the potential of the White House. I had done that type of work, and I didn't really want to do it. Again, then I was in New York. I had friends already. Then I was studying at Columbia at that time. And then I thought Howard Johnson, I said, this is another world. I will learn. And I did. Mr. Johnson was a customer of the pavilion. And that's why he hired Pierre Fredet and me.
Oh,
and then,
okay.
And the point is that I worked there for 10 years. And when I left and I opened a restaurant on Fifth Avenue in New York called La Potagerie, where I made 150 gallons of soup a day, 3 different soup of 50 gallons. Then I opened the World Trade Center for Joe Baum, the commissary where we could feed, hundreds of thousands of people and then I was a consultant at the Russian Tea Room in the 80s. I'm saying all of that to say that I would never have been able to do any of those jobs if I hadn't been at Howard Johnson. As a French chef, I didn't know anything about production, marketing. I learned new words like, specific gravity or coliform or bacteria. I work with chemists. I work with chemists, production, marketing, American eating habits as well. All of this. So I learned a great deal, certainly more than if I had worked in another French restaurant or even at the White House.
Because you were so mindful, you were paying attention and learning all of this. And it seems that your new book, Quick and Simple, is really about prepping and being mindful of having a larder and using your freezer and using easy ingredients, purchasing some, not making everything homemade. And I thought it was just really great at the beginning of the book where you're just talking about like a microwave and a mini chopper and, using your freezer. And mainly I felt good about that because that's all things that I have in my kitchen. So Americans have this idea about French food, and you've spent your life on television really making sense of how to connect with those of us that are intimidated. Did you approach this book in that same way?
Well, it's true. You're absolutely right. Americans have an idea about French food, and it is because for many Americans, French food is looked at through the Michelin guide. And the Michelin is a guide in France who create those special restaurants with Michelin star. There is 22 3-star Michelin guide in France and about 70 or so 2-star and maybe 300-400 1-star. I mean, the whole thing together is less than 500 restaurants. And there is 138,000 restaurants in France. But for most Americans, because great chefs from those Michelin star came here, so they look at French cooking in that context. Now, there's nothing wrong with Michelin star chef, but it's very elitist, it's very elegant, it's very expensive. It's another type of food. In my family in France, I count 12 restaurants through my life, and the 12 of them were run by women. My 2 aunts, cousin, my mother, several ones. So the type of food that my mother did was not 3-star restaurant. Many people, even in my family in France, have never eaten in a 3-star restaurant in their life. But for many Americans, they think this is what French food is. And it is part of it, but far to be the whole thing. And also the fact that probably now, after more than half a century in America, I am considered often maybe the quintessential French chef. And then you take my book and you put it on page 32 or whatever. You have a black bean soup with banana and cilantro on top because my wife, born in New York City, from a Puerto Rican mother and a Cuban father. And then you'll have a southern fried chicken. And then you'll have a lobster roll from Connecticut. So I'm probably the quintessential American chef now after all of those years. So, but
Absolutely.
I have been told that I still have an accent, so I don't know.
I mean, maybe just a little bit of one, but no, I have an accent too. So, it's just the way it
nice
is.
one too.
Thank you. Thank you. We do have to talk a little bit about Southern food since you did bring that up, Southern fried chicken. And I thought when I was flipping through the book, the first recipe that I'm going to make this weekend actually is the honey mustard shrimp. I thought that sounded so good because our in South Carolina, our shrimp are just perfect right now. This is the best time of year, I think, for them.
We go usually, we came back from Florida in beginning of March, and we've been sequestered since, but otherwise we spend 2 months usually in Amelia Island, Fernandino Beach, and it's very big for shrimp there. So we do a lot of shrimp when I'm there. I go to a fish market and I get those big pink shrimp when they come in season in the middle of February, and they're really great. You can eat them with the head and all because they are really fresh. So I don't know the recipe you're talking about. I would have to look in the book. Frankly, I don't remember those recipe. I have to look at it.
It's just really, it's one of the really, I was just really struck flipping through this, how beautiful with your own illustrations this book is, but how just simply it's laid out and how few ingredients there are in most of the recipes.
Well, what happened is that I have 30 book, 31 book, whatever, and I did 13 series on television. So each time I have a new book, I did in the 80s for 10 years, I had a column in the New York Times, which was called The Purposeful Cook, which was how to cook for a minimal amount of money. So that's very specific area of food. So I did that food cuisine economic. Then I even did a book for the Cleveland Clinic for cardiac patient weight loss. So that's very specific. Then I have the book I'm probably most known for, La Technique, La Méthode, our illustrated manual of cooking technique. So that's very different. Maybe the best book that I've done is The Art of Cooking. It's 2 volumes I did in the 80s.
Right.
We did 34,000 pictures. It took me 5 years. It's also probably the book who sold the least of anything that I've ever done. But then that was much more elegant, much more sophisticated. And so, sometimes you do it this way. Certainly as a younger chef, you tend, and if you work in restaurant, you tend to add to the plate. And now that I'm turning 85, you kind of take away from the plate to be left with something more essential without too much embellishment around. So, your metabolism change, things change. And also in that particular book, I wanted to do that type of food, quick and simple, as the recipe says. So, if I were Daniel Boulud or Thomas Keller, the book that they do is an extraordinary book to show the extraordinary quality of what they do in the restaurant and to entice people to come there, spend the money. So they have very special ingredients. They have special purveyor, farm work for them, and that type of thing. This is not what I do now. I don't have a restaurant. I cook only to show people how to cook in the simplest possible way. So in that context, even though I have friends who have farm, they send me some special stuff. I don't use it when I do that type of show. I use the stuff from the supermarket, the best that I can find in supermarket, but still, so people can relate to it, and the same packaging, the same cut of meat, the same everything. And that's it. That's how I cooked at home, and certainly what I did for that book,
It's really exciting as a chef, as a cook, to hear that you can shift and change, that you don't have to do something very complicated or, fancy every time you go into the kitchen, but sometimes you can do something simple. It just really depends. And even this week, while we were all, watching maps change colors, you shared lemon pigs and butter roses on Instagram, these videos.
Is it on Instagram you saw that, or on the Facebook? Facebook
On
or Instagram.
Instagram.
Okay. See, I don't go on those things, but on Facebook, my daughter, Claudine, and my son-in-law, Rolly, but my daughter, Claudine, is doing the Facebook for me. And she had asked me at the beginning of the pandemic in February, why don't you do some simple recipe out of your pantry, your freezer, whatever you have. And I did. And now we are at 155, I think. I did 155 of those. But that's on Facebook. And she has one different one almost every day. And, that type of thing. For example, what my wife called fridge soup. That is the fridge soup. I open the refrigerator. I have some wilted lettuce left over, half an onion, 2 carrots and half a tomato to all go into the pot to make soup. I finish with some couscous at the end or some noodle or some whatever and oatmeal even. So, that type of food I've always done at home. But that being said, I may have a special dinner coming. I may cook for 2 days and spend a lot of time and do something more elaborative when you feel like it. There is nothing wrong with that. But it is not the everyday type of food that you do. It's especially now. It used to be that at the supermarket 30, 40, 50 years ago, you could not find what you find now. Now, and I say that in show, I did 2 series at KQED called Fast Food My Way. And I say what you have to do is to use the supermarket as a prep cook.
Yes.
You go into a kitchen. I go into a kitchen as a chef. There is someone with boning out the fish for me, then the fillet, chop the shallot, slice the mushroom. So when I came to the stove, I have an order for that piece of fish. Everything is there in front of me. So I put that fish in a skillet, bit of shallot, mushroom on top, dash of white wine. I poach it, finish it up. It takes me 5-6 minutes because I have all of that stuff ready for me. The mise en place, So what you do now, you go to the supermarket, you get a boneless, skinless breast of chicken, pre-sliced mushroom, pre-washed spinach. You have a non-stick skillet, and you can do a dish in 5 minutes. If you do this, it's a little more expensive. But frankly, there is a lot of things you can do. I mean, I go to the supermarket in the salad bar and I take a container and I pick up 3, 4, 5 different type of olive, those tiny mozzarella ball and some mushrooms, some dry tomato. I mean, I'm making a salad there. I came home and I buy some ham. I come home on that salad. I put a bit more of olive oil, maybe some herb, and I take some slice of ham. I put it in like a martini glass, it hang on the side. I fill it up with my salad here. Up, I have first course. So.
You make it sound really easy, but honestly, it is really easy. I've learned so much from you through the years, both on television and even recently on these Facebook and Instagram videos, which I would suggest all Southern Fork listeners go and check out because I've learned how to make eggs, which your eggs are always just so beautiful, and they're like in cocotte with fresh herbs, I love that. That makes my sad scrambled egg dinner, taste so much better. And then even the other night, I doctored up some canned beans. You had posted a bean stew, right? And
yeah, absolutely. I use canned beans a lot. I mean, what's the difference? It's a bit more, it's more expensive, of course, than cooking your own beans. But basically, you look at the label, it's beans, water, and salt. That's it. That's what you have. So, it saves you time. That being said, sometimes I may do things which cook a long time. So I may cook my beans. I did a whole series also that my son-in-law wanted me to do, a very inexpensive type of food to show people how to cook very inexpensively. So there I did a stew with like turkey neck. I have a big market there. I have turkey neck, stuff like that. They have also pork neck, So this is very, very good, really. I mean, very stew. You have to eat with your hand there, but so forth. But you put half a pound of navy beans in it, a carrot and onion, and you do a big meal for really very little money, and it's delicious. So, you can do this, but you can also take a can of beans and and even put it in a food processor to make a fresh puree of beans, and serve it with a steak or something like this. Yeah, use your pantry.
Use the pantry. Well,
Yeah.
with 31 books, 71 years, in the restaurant as a chef, what is making you hungry? What's next? I mean, you have so much energy.
Well, everything gets me hungry. If I didn't eat for a while, I feel hungry. If I look at something which look good, I start salivating. If I go to the market, looking at the food, which was probably the biggest problem for me during the pandemic, I didn't go to the market for like 2.5 months. Even though people buy stuff for me, but I like to look at the food. I like to touch it. That's very important for me. So, yeah, that's what makes me hungry, and also price. I go to the market and I think I'm going to buy a duck or whatever, and I see the chicken. They have two chicken for one today, but so I buy chicken, or vice
Just
versa.
like everybody else. I can't imagine
right. Of
being
course.
at the market and having you come up to the counter. That would be pretty intimidating for me, but I guess they get used to you at the local market, right?
Yeah, no one knows me at the market. Makes no difference.
So what is one aspect of this job as a chef and a teacher and a cookbook author that really meshes like a puzzle piece with an aspect of your personality?
Well, maybe the diversity of that, I mean, if I say I wrote for the New York Times for 10 years, but I was doing other things during that time. If I had to write all the time to make a living out of that, I'd probably get really bored with it and so forth. And if I had to do consulting work, only that, or even in the kitchen, only that, or only writing recipe. But the beauty of what I do all of that. It's always related to food, of course, but it's different aspects of food. And when you set up a restaurant as a consultant, you talk about production, about all kind of different problems that you don't have when you do those recipes that I do with Quick and Simple. And it's going to be different than writing about food and so forth, or television. The beauty of television, of course, or the tape that I did, is that it's very visual. So, you look at those tapes. If I show you how to make a rose with a knife, scraping the butter on top of it, if I have to explain that to you after a page and a half, me telling you, put your knife just perpendicular to the thing, grab it on top, you say, what the heck is he talking about? Then you see you see a video, you say, oh, that's it. So you start boning out a chicken, so it's hard to explain. So the video or television is very visual. It's very good this way, so
yes.
No question.
Yes. What is keeping you up at night right now?
Well, sometimes the recipe that I have to do or stuff like that during the night, I kind of cook during the night sometimes, or write during the night, or do things like that, or go to the garden, or I do things often related to cooking at night, or traveling sometimes, depending what I'm involved in at that point. So yes, probably before Thanksgiving, Claudine is coming here, my daughter, and so forth. So I will probably dream of a couple of things during the night. When I was younger, I guess it was more sex, but not anymore.
I do this for all the guests, and basically I have a magic picnic basket. So this is my last question. And with this magic picnic basket, I can go back in time. I can source for you. I can conscript any chef to cook a dish, or a family member a dish, to really bring you some of your favorite things in that basket. If they don't have to go together, what would I be bringing you?
What would I do? Well, a picnic for me, I probably, beside the wine, you have to have a couple of bottles of wine, of course. And usually when we did picnic, we did it by the river here. So I would attach the neck of the bottle of wine to a root somewhere, but let the bottle of wine hang in the river. But for me, very often I would do an omelette, especially in spring, omelette with all kind of herbs rolled, and I cut it and that's a room temperature there with a bit of olive oil on top. Then a roast chicken, simply roast chicken, and a big salad, a green salad with the dressing on the side to mix it there would be about my ideal chicken and my ideal picnic, an omelette, a chicken with a big salad, and probably a dessert, some fruit, usually fruit or stuff like that. Oh, and then some cheese, of course. I would bring a couple of cheese, smelling cheese usually. Yeah.
Wow.
So
wow.
That would be my type of picnic.
Well, that is a perfect picnic. And I can make a really good roasted chicken, but I am sure yours is better. So.
Well, you know what? The other day, I am at the market and they just finished doing the rotisserie chicken. So I said, well, they look good. So I bought one. Get home. I had a big Boston lettuce. I love Boston lettuce. So I spread out the Boston lettuce on a big platter. I cut my chicken in pieces to put it on top of it. Then I put some butter and oil in a skillet. I sauteed some shallot. I had some garlic, shallot, some herb, which I spread on top of my chicken, a bit of lemon juice, and more olive oil on the salad. So I had that big chicken with salad underneath, chicken right from the supermarket. It was delicious.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And if people want to learn more, and you should already know about Jacques Pépin, you can go to thesouthernfork.com. I'm going to have links there to his Instagram, to his webpage, to the new cookbook. You're also going to be able to get and purchase the cookbook on the books from the show tab directly from thesouthernfork.com. I couldn't imagine that this would ever happen. So thank you, Chef, so much.
You.
Good luck with the new book. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Happy cooking.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Talking with My Mouth Full. I wanted to talk just for a few more minutes about the kind of work that the Jacques Pépin Foundation supports, and that is really teaching basic culinary skills to people that need it. I'm a cook. I grew up with mom and grandmother who cooked. The people in my family knew cooking, and so I learned how to cook from them. And then I also learned from Jacques Pépin and Julia Child and Natalie Dupree, all on PBS Food, and Martin Yan. There's just so many people that I've learned skills from because that was something that I was really interested in. But I can tell you this, it doesn't matter how much you learn how to cook as a home cook. Sometimes things are intimidating to cook. And if you don't have that many cooking skills a lot of things can be intimidating. And when you're dealing with food insecurity, you can help yourself if you knew how to make bread or you knew how to make a roasted chicken that you could eat on all week and then make stock, or you could cook some beans like the chef was talking about today. Because if you get a box of really great produce, you might not know what to do with that. And that's all of us. Y'all have a CSA before, and then you get something that you've never had before, and you're like, how am I going to use this ingredient? So we've all definitely had that. But when you're stressed about money and you're hungry, the last thing you want to do is try to figure out how to use the stuff that is being given to you. So I think culinary skills are a really, really important missing puzzle piece here. And I love and support the work that the foundation is doing. And what an example of using your whole life and using all of your skills to really impact your world. So yes, it was a pretty cool experience to interview Jacques Pépin, but I hope that you'll take a little bit more time to learn about the foundation. And until then, take care, and I'll talk to you again next time.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations, but in the meantime, I have one question. Are you gonna eat all that?